Good evening. There's been a bit of a break in my recordings. We had the non-teaching week, and before that, I was unfortunately quite unwell. So I've had a bit of a break. Yesterday, I was going to start recording again, but we were actually on strike yesterday, so it seemed inappropriate. So this time, it's going to be on the Tuesday rather than Monday. The industrial action is still continuing. For various reasons, have a chat to the guild or one of the staff involved if you need to, but we are still trying to minimize impacts on students where possible. You're now in the middle of first semester. It's first semester of the year. Maybe this is your last semester. Maybe this is the very first semester you're here. You've probably just done a bunch of tests. You've got some assignments coming up. You probably have some results already coming in. Briefly, just remember that although census data is passed, if you end up really bombing out in a test and you are sure you're going to fail a unit, you can still withdraw if you need to. It won't be penalty free, but you can still do that. If OASIS doesn't let you do that, go and talk to Connect. But you may also want to talk to your unit coordinator first. Some units, I'm thinking of COM 1006 FCS, COM 3001 DAA, they tend to have a harder first test, and it gets a bit easier from there. But if you're in doubt, talk with your UC, or maybe even talk to some of the more senior students. That's not the main topic of today, though. Today, I wanted to talk about the other end of studies. So some of you will be in your first semester now, but hopefully you're already looking at what you're going to be doing next year, the year after, when you finish, etc. One of the best ways to have a good idea of where you're going, where you want to go, and have more choice when you're applying for a job later is to have contacts. It's called networking in the business sense. So networking is really useful. One of the things you can, of course, do is look for an industry placement in your final year or get an internship. They all work really well. But there's things you can start right from your first year that I'm going to talk about today. And they are additional work, but the very best students who have the most different job offers, who get the highest salary offers, they tend to have more on their resume than just what's at uni. They have other things they've done. One of the things that's fairly useful is professional organizations. A lot of big businesses, and especially government, look very closely at your membership in a professional organization. So let me share a screen and show you what I mean. So this one here is a professional organization that I happen to be a member of. This is the IEEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. I'm not an electrical and electronic engineer. This also happens to be probably the biggest international institute for computer science. So if you're looking at machine learning, if you're looking at AI, if you're looking at any sort of conferences or whatever in that area, this is probably the organization you're interested in. If you're going to be a researcher, you want to be part of this organization. Now, I'm not a researcher, but they also have a very good branch in education. They have a computer society, which I'm a member of. They have for example, intelligent machines society, and a whole bunch of other stuff. There is a student branch on campus, so you can seek them out. You can join. The advantage you have with things like joining things like that is you're meeting new people. Just going along to some of the events, even if it's maybe not a lot of fun for you, you can meet people not just from academia, but also from industry. So the IEEE tends to have a couple of events every year that's like everyone is invited to. So it might be a family fun day, or there might be the end of year dinner. And you can go there and you'll find that there's a whole bunch of academics from all the different universities. There's also a whole bunch of people who are in business. and you can hear lots of different things and talk to lots of different people with very different views. Very useful, and of course, it's very useful to make contacts as well. It's also a great way to meet more senior students, and that's really, really useful for you. So the IEEE is really nice. It is perhaps more research focused, but because it's an international organization, that's really important. So especially for international students, if you come from Jakarta or Bangalore or, pretty much anywhere, you will find that there is an IEEE branch near you at home, and they all communicate. And having some sort of standing in the IEEE gives you standing wherever you're going, which is useful. Um, Another one that's international is the Association for Machinery. This is more for the engineers than for software people, because it really is more about the hardware side of things. But I thought I'd mention it for completion. I'm not a member, I never have been, but there are useful things from that. And they do a fair bit of good work. I can't tell you much about what they're doing on campus, but the website's here. Something that I have been involved with a fair bit, and you are all already involved in, is the ACS, the Australian Computer Society. They are the society that accredits computing degrees in Australia. So if you're in the Bachelor of Computing, they have accredited your degree. If you're Bachelor of IT, they have accredited your degree. Accreditation just means that they say the degree matches a particular standard, and that also gives you deals with other countries. So if you finish your studies with us and go to Malaysia or one of the other places that where the ACS is recognized, which is in many places around the world, your degree has automatic standing because it's accredited with the ACS. The ACS also does run events, but they are not as regular. What the ACS does run is the Insight Awards every year. So that's a big award, a lot of industry involved. So again, getting involved with a group like this is useful. Out of the computer science crew, Valerie has been very involved with the ACS in the past, and she's probably able to tell you quite a lot about it if you go and bug her somewhere. Why do I have the IEEE again? I must have gone pulled something else. There's a whole bunch of other areas that you might want to consider. Fairly much every professional area has its own professional body. So I'm Curtin's representative to ACEN. ACEN is the education body that specifically looks after work integrated learning, such as the work placement that some of you will do in your final year, or just the whole work integrated learning you're doing through the capstone projects, whether you're placed or not. So there's a professional body for that, and fairly much anything you're interested in, there's a professional body for that. If it's not an official professional body, there's probably a semi-professional group. So if you're interested in machine learning and AI, there's a very active group, very industry focused, that meets regularly in Perth. If you're interested in games, there's a very active games group in Perth, or it used to be. I haven't talked to anyone from there for a few years. In fact, there's now a game studio inside Curtin. So getting involved with a group of other people is really, really useful. It gives you contacts, it gives you experience. Being able to say you've done group work is great. If you've been on a committee, that's wonderful. It shows leadership skill, it shows communication, it shows a lot of things that just doing your degree won't do for you. Now, one other thing is, apart from all these professional organizations, there are lower level organizations that are still really, really useful. And of course, the main one here at Curtin is COMSA. If you're doing computing, you really should be a COMSA member. You go to the events, like tomorrow they're running a Talks from the Industry, you'll meet people, and that's really important. Meeting the industry people is important, but what you want to do is meet the COMSA committee. You want to meet the students who are older than you, because when you get to the point where you're looking for a job, being able to say, hey, you remember me, we were at Curtin together, can you recommend me to your employers, or can I use you as a reference? That is a really good way to get your foot in the door at a particular company. And of course, the more senior student often gets a bonus if they can refer someone to the company who's actually really quite good. So it helps both ways. definitely get involved with COMSA. And if you can get onto a committee, if you're a committee member at COMSA, that looks great in your resume. Again, that's communication skills, it's leadership skills, it's teamwork skills. It's all the sort of things that will help you get a job in addition to whatever you're learning with us. Hopefully, you're learning some really useful things with us. But it's if you want to go the one step further, joining COMSA is great. And it doesn't have to be COMSA. Like basketball, go and join a basketball club. Like badminton, join the badminton club. See if you can get onto a committee before the end of your studies, because again, that's really useful on the old resume. Anyway, that's it for me for the night, and I'll try to get this posted tonight. I hope you all have a good time adjusting back to coming to university, and I will talk to you next week. Ciao.